How do you make people, you inspire them and you enchant them, like when they see a magic trick and they feel, wow. How do you, as a manager, as a firm owner, as a leader?
You need to do your magic, eh?
Yes. How do you do it? How do you lift people up and you make them want to follow your vision? So if you have the discipline and the mastery, you know how to sculpt, but you don't have the vision, most likely you are going to create something either chaotic or unspecific, or you're going to waste the block of marble. So your horizon of opportunities.
It's very simple to say. It's very simple to read and hear the vision.
Yes.
But I believe personally, because I am into business for 13 years now, and I was sculpturing a lot without a vision. To set a vision in place, you need a coach.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Welcome to Socialcast, the podcast that comes to inspire young entrepreneurs and business owners, as well as professionals, through the stories of the people that went through and all the steps to achieve their own dreams. If it's the first time that you are viewing us, please do subscribe to our news to our channel, Socialcast by Social Way, and also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as Social Way, and on TikTok as Orestes Michael, to give you to give us power and to proceed with more podcasts like that. Today we have a very interesting story to share. We have with us an award-winning lawyer and business consultant that take the big step to drop everything and start from scratch again at his height of his career. But he's with us today and he will share it with us, the story. Philippos Aristotelous. Philippe, welcome. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very much looking forward to our conversation.
As I told you before, I know you through social media. You've been very active, and I was following your content and your speeches, and I really appreciate what you do, and I really appreciate that as far as I understand, that you took the effort to understand social media and to put yourself out. Something that I think I didn't mention is that you are also an author of 2 books, and you just launched your second one. That is something that we will discuss today. As I told before, Socialcast is about inspiring new people, something that we didn't have in our young age. So I want you to take a deep breath, and we go back at your humble beginnings, when you start as a lawyer, when you began as a lawyer, and how did you grow? What was your vision of your life, and how and if it changed or it adapt? And I'm really interested to learn who inspired you and how you decide to make a change at, I believe, at the height of your career, and start again.
Well, thank you for your introduction. The theme of the podcast is starting from scratch. In my case, there is a bit variation in that, as you have said, I basically went and journeyed through a successful career in law. I then, at some point, I left in 2018, and then I restarted. So I wouldn't say, just to be accurate, 100% that I started from scratch, but I restarted from experience. And I believe it is in that fine detail that the value for the audience can be derived. So I trained as a lawyer. I studied law in the UK. I went through all the motions, and I had a quite successful career. I managed to become a partner in a very big law firm at a very young age, and at some point around 14 years into that journey, I decided that I had to stop and start something else because I was very tired. And I felt that the cycle closed for me. And this is when I ventured out and decided to start something completely new.
This is very interesting story to hear nowadays, because there are, as far as I see and I hear, there are many people now after COVID that rethink about their career and about their everyday life, and what are we doing? What are we actually doing every day? So, but you did that before COVID, yes?
Yes,
So
2018.
yeah.
In the middle of 2018, it was when I left. Well, that's a very good point. And having in mind the possibly valuable lessons that we want to convey, we have to be careful and cautious as well, because this idea of quitting one's job and following
Something, your dream.
one's dream often sounds idyllic and very romantic, but if you view it through the lens of somebody who did that, it can become the dream can become a nightmare if you do not go through all the emotions and you do not tick all the boxes that you have to tick, which include.
I think the nightmare comes is included in the package. Yes.
It's included, but it can take over
Yes.
the package if there are no safety valves in place to make a proper transition.
Yes.
Because you basically venture into the unknown, and when you exit something that is stable, something that financially sustains you, and something which you have become accustomed to doing, jumping into something new has a number of key parameters that you have to take into account before doing the jump. So, and I always advise young people and others that I meet with and I coach that they have to have a list of points to bear into account when contemplating a transition.
Can you name a few?
Of course. The first is the financial.
Okay.
So the financial combined with personal circumstances. So let's say that you are somebody who is well off financially or who has saved a considerable amount of money, a reasonable amount of money that can sustain them for a year, let's say. And you're young. And you don't have familial
You don't have obligations,
like
family, kids,
spouse, kids,
loans,
and you don't
etc.
have a mortgage, exactly. So that's a different model from somebody who is, let's say, middle-aged, with a family, with a mortgage, having recently moved into an area near one's occupation, and with kids starting college with tuition fees. So in the second case, it's not that the transition is not possible, but it's more sober planning is required, and perhaps the timing has to be reevaluated. There has to be, the transition requires planning, okay? And it requires an assessment of one's personal circumstances. That's a key. And when I left, okay, the circumstances were not ideal for me, but of course I took care of the main boxes that I mentioned. So I had a buffer for
a few months or a few years
or more. Yes, I do have a family, but that space in my life was appropriate for me to take the risk, because there is a risk. There is a manifold of risks, not only one.
Yes.
But it's doable, provided that one is sober and careful and cautious not to fall into a pit and not be able to come out.
Other than financially, I believe there are other.
Of course, financial is just one.
Yeah, like you make your preparation before you jump.
You
to
make
the
a
next.
preparation.
Yes.
You do your survey. You make a self-assessment of the skills that you possess or you retrain or upskill yourself? Well, first of all, you have to think whether you have something specific in mind that you want to do after you transition. Because some people live without a plan B, which is fine as well if that's what you want to do and if you can afford to live.
Yes.
But if you have a plan B, it helps to be a bit specific. Like, what do I want to do? I'm a lawyer, and what do I want to do? Do I want to become a consultant? Okay, that's one model. It's a low-cost, relatively model of starting up. Do I want to set up a shop selling shoes? That's a different model. That requires capital up front, requires a completely different wiring. You have to retain people, you have to hire people, you have to find a real estate space to set up your shop. So depending on where you want to go next, in the next chapter of your journey, there has to be a specific vision and a specific plan so as to make it manifest.
Did you make that plan and vision by yourself, or did you have someone helping you? Because I think to self-assessment is not always clear. It's very hard. And you don't. Your self-image is not always the correct one.
It's very hard because
you may believe that you are the best, or if you talk to someone, will tell you that you are. Here, you're on stage 5 of 10. So work a little bit on this, on this, on this before you go out and become whatever you want to become.
Well, the worst advisor is panic in this case. Like, I'm going to leave and I'm going to do...
Yeah.
Because when you panic, you don't think reasonably. I did have a coach at the time. And sometimes even one meeting with the proper person can help you take the critical decisions necessary at the right time. The reason being that we, as you have indicated, we tend to overestimate the clarity that we carry in our heads. We are highly cluttered cognitive beings, so we are full of thoughts and contradictory thoughts, and we think that we know it all, because that's how the mind works. But we need somebody to help us
reflect,
sequence our thoughts and bring order to the way that we think, in order to be able to rise above the noise and, as you have said, develop the necessary self-awareness of our realistic position compared to what we envision to become or where we envision to go. Because most often, not only do we not know precisely where we want to go or what that means in terms of planning, costs, financial, timing, opportunity costs. So not only do we not know quite often where exactly it is that we need to go.
Most likely we don't. It's like it's an unknown field.
And what it means.
So it's mostly gray and black. It's not,
but
white.
In many cases, we don't even know where we are.
Yes, at the moment.
What's the present stage?
Yeah.
And what it means for us to become ready to move in the direction of the valued destination. So, for example, we may want to set up a shop to sell shoes once again. So we leave from the practice of law or whatever else, accounting, and we decided that we love selling shoes. Fictional scenario, but to be specific.
Yes.
Okay? So what does it mean to sell shoes? Now, you may be educated in that field, or you may be not. Let's assume that you're not. So you need, as we said before, you need to set up a business. You need to hire an accountant. You need to find a shop. Not an easy task. You need to hire contractors to formulate and shape the shop. But you also need to develop your brand. So and what comes first, the brand or the shop? If somebody asks a specialist like you, it's the brand first, because you need to develop your colors, your identity. you need to catalyze your identity
Basically,
or the brand awareness of your
basically,
shirt.
whoever you ask,
Yeah.
every specialist you ask, they will tell you is the first thing that
Exactly.
you have to do.
But most often than not, you run into opening the shop, right?
Yeah.
So you run into opening the shop, you paid everything, you spent all your budget, and then you start thinking, okay, what's my identity? What's my niche? What clients do I want to attract?
How am I gonna make it known?
Yes, and then you have new questions. What's the position I want to occupy in the market? High-end, luxury shoes, low-end, cheap shoes, both high and low. Not a very good idea because they're confusing.
Yeah, to women, to
To
men,
men,
to kids, to athletes,
do I want to have an online shop? Do I want to have a physical shop? Is
to
it
have both.
20%, 80%, 80-20, 50-50? And then, so that only with respect to what you want to do. How do I find money? The rent, how much do I pay in advance? Do I want to hire a real estate agent to find the shop? Do I want to find it myself? What's the area like? Does it have people who walk by and they can see the shop, and then do I have traffic in that physical area? Then how to generate digital traffic? Going back to the social media discussion.
Yeah.
So these are just a few of the considerations that a person will have to make. And if you are transitioning from another job full of responsibilities with the stress and anxiety of transition, how do I quit? What do I tell my boss? What do I tell my colleagues? What do I tell my family? Will my family accept it? Having such a hugely cluttered mind is nearly impossible for a person
to think clear
without somebody to
coach it.
Act like exactly, posing some helpful questions like that. What are you going to do next? Okay, I'm opening up a shop. What does that require? Okay, that requires A, B, C, and D. Okay, where are you right now? Do you have money? Do you have connections?
I think the most common example that we can see nowadays is opening a coffee shop, a burger shop, and a restaurant. Like everyone that loves coffee and loves burgers and loves food decides that I'm gonna open one, and then you see them closing one after another. It's sad.
I have to tell you that I truly admire people who have the audacity and the guts to venture into the
food and beverage industry.
Yes, or the hospitality
Yes.
Firstly, because I really believe that this industry, like catering for people, catering for the social entertainment of people, making people happy when they eat, when they socialize, I believe that's one of the most sacred services that people can provide. Like it has some magic in it, okay? So I truly admire people who go into this space, but I agree with you, it's so difficult. There are so many moving parts. Forget about the shoes.
Yes.
When you move into, the puzzle is much more difficult there. Okay, you can decide to sell burgers on Bolt or Wolt or whatever new sort of online platform is, which is perhaps simpler, so you don't venture into the whole opening a restaurant thing. And okay, now I'm following my train of thoughts. Do you know that many people who decide to do this transition, they often come from the professional services field? They are either accountants, not all of them, but a considerable portion of people who decide.
Yeah, I've seen a few.
They are lawyers, accountants, auditors.
They cannot stand anymore sitting in the office, and they decide that they want to go out and talk to people, serve people.
Exactly. They want something specific.
Yeah.
Because if you sell legal services, or accounting services, these
or digital marketing services.
These are of course necessary, but they are intangible services. Like we sell ether. And there is a time in some people's lives that they want something real, tangible. So they want to. they want to create something, like they want to build something, they cook something, they want to feel that they are doing something. So there is this, it's like a pendulum. And there is a pendulum. Imagine a pendulum. Like on the one end is all conceptual things like services, intangible things. Ideas, yes. Selling ideas, selling time, consulting. That's the one end of the pendulum. And in essence, that end of the pendulum doesn't have this day-to-day interaction with many people. Okay, we exchange emails and calls, but primarily, most of the people in this space are communicating through digital means. Okay, accountants,
computers,
auditors.
emails,
Exactly.
Softwares.
Precisely. So imagine the other end of the pendulum now, a very busy restaurant full of people talking, ordering, eating, socializing, drinking, celebrating, entertaining, and so on. So this is the other end where you have producing, you are immersed in social engagements, immersed in the production of something tangible like food, for example. Like you go in the market, you buy the raw resources, you buy the fresh fish, you buy the fresh vegetables, you take them to the kitchen, you decide how to
You're
cook
more
them.
productive.
Yeah,
You're
so
more
you,
productive. You're more hands-on productive.
exactly. So the people who spend a lot of time, and then you engage, you welcome people in the restaurant, you talk to them, you take orders, you take complaints, you make friends.
You take compliments, you make friends, yes.
You fight in the kitchen with the chef, with the people there. So that's the other end of the pendulum. Like, and I have seen transitions which move from the one side to the next and vice versa. So people who are always engaged with people and complaints, and every day they have interactions with others, they get tired and they want to go and become consultants.
Yeah.
Because they want, okay, I want some isolation from social noise.
Interaction.
Yes, so these people may decide to open up a consulting firm, let's say consulting restaurants or coffee shops, okay? Or they want to do something that is less socially engaging and something more abstract, and they move into the service space. Perhaps they go and work, instead of owning a restaurant, they go and work in a restaurant group, like consultants or managers. So they want to live away from the highly interactive social role. They go to the people that are in the opposite end of the pendulum, which is a majority of the workplace in Cyprus. We know that Cyprus is a professional services hub, okay, which go through a transition, and they get bored or sick. Some people even get sick of these emails. They want to swing the pendulum they want to become farmers.
Yeah.
Not that they become, but maybe
some of them.
Some become, yeah. They want to open a restaurant. They want to do something to sell clothes online. There are specific cases. So when you see this, like it's the pendulum of opposites.
Yeah.
And it's quite obvious.
Did you decide to write your first book before you start your new career, or after you start your career?
No, it was after. So the first book.
So before we go to that,
sure, yeah.
Who inspired you to make the move?
The move when I left law.
Yeah.
Well, the truth is that I decided to leave before.
I always like this question.
Yes,
and I appreciate your pause here.
I'm going to be very honest with you. When I left because I was very tired. So I wanted to quit. It wasn't like I found a muse.
Okay.
That, wow, I want to do that. So let's quit A and pursue B. I was tired of A in general, of the concept and that chapter of my life, and I wanted to put an end. Like, I am so tired, I have to go and take a sabbatical. Sabbatical is a break, like between careers, which is a abroad is a very common thing, by the way, taking sabbaticals. And now they started doing in Cyprus too, but employers are in Cyprus are not
Accepting it.
It's not something that is.
It's not accepting it in the point of view that when you go and ask for a new job,
Yes.
They are like, why you're not working somewhere?
Exactly.
I'm gonna get a lower. I'm gonna offer you something, and this happens in United Kingdom as well. I have a friend that we used to study together in the United States, and he went to London. He took that break, and when he decided to go back, he was all the offers were low. Because of that, he was very upset. He called me like, "What the
in Heathrow, when you go to take the tube station, you see, mind the gap.
Mind the gap, yeah.
Mind the gap.
It's the first message.
Yeah, mind the gap, because it matters. But to the credit of my employer, to the firm I was working as a partner, I was a partner there, they offered me a sabbatical. They did. So they treated me. I mean, it was
they said
correct.
You can get a break and come back whenever
they told me, but I said I have to leave. It's I feel I want to make a change. So then when I left, I didn't have a specific plan.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna pretend that I was extremely diligent and prepared. I was prepared
financially.
Yes, to an extent. To an extent.
Yeah.
And I had the support of the people who matter, because you need that as well.
Yeah.
Why? Because when I don't want to venture away from your question, but very briefly, when you make a transition which is as serious as that, you want to have people who support you, because if the people around you are not supporting you, then the surface of the unknown is bigger. So the possibility for anxiety and stress is bigger then.
You cannot think clear.
You have to make sure that you tick as many boxes as you can, and your support group, your family, your parents, whatever, at least to a considerable amount, is very important. Okay, so I had those in place. I left, and then your question was what inspired me to make the next move? Well, it was an introspective thing. Believe me, I didn't have any people I was following at the moment I made the break. But what I thought is that, okay, what did I enjoy doing before in the legal profession? Let's take a razor blade and cut everything that, say I didn't like, or I didn't like much. And then I thought, okay, I enjoyed doing coaching, mentoring, helping people with their career trajectories, helping them set goals. And I started doing that. I started posting banners one banner actually on social media saying, okay, I can, coaching services offered to lawyers, for example. That was my first move actually, posting
on LinkedIn.
The wife of my brother-in-law, yes, helped me design a banner. And I posted it after a month after leaving my post.
Did you have your brand set or not?
No brand. It was a completely different. Yeah, so it was like selling shoes before designing on the brand and the identity. But to my surprise, I received inquiries like, "Wow, we are interested. What's the cost? How do we do it?" And that's like, Alice in Wonderland, when you see and you follow the rabbit in the... Yeah. That was the thing that started the whole journey. Like that person who told me, yes, I want to do coaching sessions.
That's one person that believed in you.
It's what caught my attention. Yes, like, oh, it's doable. Wow, people are interested in what I thought may be of value. So I started doing the coaching sessions with her. And then you develop confidence, like that sells. The market, for example, there is a market. I didn't know how much at the time for this type of things. And then I started selling I decided to do a basic website. My brother-in-law did it for me actually, because I was completely clueless at the time. In a free website, the developers, Wix, yes, I did it on Wix. Very basic, informational website. So I started doing some coaching one-on-one. And then I thought, what else did I enjoy doing instead of this one-on-one? Because I was a partner in the firm before. I was, hundreds of people
Yeah.
and 15 years in the professions in the same firm. I interacted with hundreds of people. So I was doing a lot of coaching, whether you will name it coaching or
Advisors.
helping or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was very comfortable with that. But what else was I enjoying? And then I thought, okay, speaking, training, the things that you also do for your space. So then what I did is that, okay, let's announce, again, a banner, that I'm doing an open speech, because 1 hour is not a seminar, it's a speech, to senior lawyers about law firm management, marketing. And then I created, Daphne, my brother-in-law's wife, created a banner for that event, like a speech on how to up your game as a senior lawyer or partner in the firm. And that was fully sold out, like 30 people. Okay, 30 people. It's like, wow.
Not bad, yeah. Not bad at all, actually.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Now, okay, maybe it helped that my CV helped.
As a 15-year partner in one of the
firm,
biggest.
with a reputation in being very robust in business development with very high profile clients. So that helped, of course. It's not like I was a SM. It's not like it was Philippos, it was my CV as well. So that helped, and I did this seminar for 30 people in the Gian conference. Gian, the factory, they have a conference. I did it there. I had connections there. Very imaginative with storytelling. And then I one challenge at a time. I was like, I was moving in the space of law, okay? I was doing coaching with lawyers.
Lawyers, yes.
Partners, but lawyers. Then the seminar, the speech was with lawyers, okay? It's important. But on sales, not law. So I wasn't explaining the law to them. I was saying to them how they can become better at selling legal services and cross-selling, these things, upselling.
Yeah.
The usual jargon in the sales
So
domain.
they get a better position in their firm, or if they are business owners.
Exactly. Business development, how to generate more work from existing clients, these things that are important for lawyers who are more scientifically minded than commercially minded, the vast majority. 90% are like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So then I thought, okay, I did this speech. Why don't I try to do something open, public, for more people, and not to be targeted to lawyers? Then I changed my target audience. Why? I felt that I started seeing commonalities between industries, like the principles of sales are the same.
Yes.
With some
you just adjust
modifications, yes. Yeah. Okay, lawyers have professional ethics, but pretty much it's the same thing. Some brand awareness. For lawyers, yes, a lawyer has to establish a reputation, has to be known for something. So it's the same things. And I thought, okay, why don't I do something bigger for a multi-industry, let's say, public event, a lecture or of sorts, and invite everyone, any industry, like firm owners, professionals, accountants, shipping people, whatever. And then the idea came after talking to a friend of mine who, because that has many moving parts as well. I never did such a thing, like where do you do it? How much do you pay? How much do you charge? How do you market it? How do you communicate it? Blah, blah, blah. All these parameters were floating in there. But the starting point was I found the place because I did it in Curium, the hotel. Now it's in Limassol. Now they sold it. But the family of a friend of ours owned the Curium hotel. And they told me, why don't you do it there, which has a big ballroom? And so it's like when you go on exploration and you find the first sign that you are on the right track. That was the first sign. And I organized it. Anyway, to cut a long story short, because this is a long story. I designed it. I found a topic which was not sales, it was motivation. How to motivate yourselves and your team. So that I left the space of sales, and I thought, okay, why don't I do something that I enjoy? And it was a topic that really interested me and still does, hence the books. What do people need? What do people want at work and in life? So that public event sold out again, 130 people. Nice. Was called Abracadabra. Nice. Abracadabra. And then I thought, why? Because how do you make people, you inspire them and you enchant them, like when they see a magic trick and they feel, wow. How do you, as a manager, as a firm owner, as a leader?
You need to do your magic, eh?
Yes. How do you do it? How do you lift people up and you make them want to follow your vision? That kind of metaphor, like you enchant them. That was the hook of the communication, and I hired then somebody to help me with the social media content strategy. We found some nice magic related with magic wands
related.
Then I came up. So the event was called Abracadabra, and the whole thing was the content of the, let's say, the lecture. It was a 1 hour lecture. Was employee motivation and self-motivation, the same things to an extent. So it was...
Was that, I'm going to take you back to the book.
The first book, yes.
The Marvel of Engagement?
Yeah.
So you had that book already by then?
No. That's how this came up. So initially it was the magic of engagement, but I'm going to tell you. So then I started preparing the content, and I knew that it sold. Not on its own, I sent messages and did a lot of behind the scenes activity to sell it.
Cold calling and
cold messaging, yes, but not cold, like in a nice way, like how are you? It's been since the last conference to talk to you. So I tried to, okay. So I managed to sell the whole thing. I think the tickets were low as well, like 30 euros something. It wasn't something dramatic. I also brought magic wands from London, magic wands, like 130 magic wands, and I gave one to everyone, so you have a symbolic touch there. And the whole content of the speech was, because I know you love acronyms too, I said I'm going to use the acronym MAGIC, okay? Why? To help me focus, because the topic of motivation, there are thousands of books, business motivation.
Everywhere.
If you think about it, all leadership books are about motivation, in a sense. Anyway, so to avoid getting lost, because in 1 month I had to deliver the speech, I said I'm going to have to harness this chaos of ideas into a specific direction.
So and what was MAGIC about?
Magic. I said, as a challenge to myself, it has to move through this structure, this constraint, like a corset, the corset. So magic was meaning. So employees need meaning. They need to be inspired. They need to see a vision. They need to understand that what they do has impact, matters. We are here and we are helping get there, which is better than here. So the storytelling impact, okay, which is tied to the vision of the firm, but only to the vision of the personal vision. Okay, so meaning is the first. Then autonomy, A. Freedom, not absolute freedom, ordered freedom. So autonomy, a big challenge in organizations. What we discussed before, how much freedom do people need versus procedures, versus systems, and what's the impact of too much freedom on quality, and so what's the right balance between autonomy and systems, procedures, constraints. Okay, so autonomy is that point, but you certainly need an element of autonomy for creativity, so then relatedness is so in that model, magic, G was growth. So remember, magic is an acronym. Growth, how do you grow? How do you become better? How much should your level of challenge exceed your level of skill to remain motivated and engaged? Because people seek the pursuit of mastery. They want to feel useful.
Yes.
It's a tribal thing. We want to feel useful.
Yes.
So to an extent, we want to be challenged. But if you over-challenge people, they burn out or they suffer from anxiety. So G is on growth. How do you help people grow?
And how you balance growth?
Yes. which goes on goal setting, what type of goals you set to people compared to their skills, how you combine learning and experience. So learning is when you send people to train, to read books. Experience is you throw them in the project. Like, okay, prepare for this podcast, prepare for other production, do it. The learning is read the podcast book. So how the interplay of learning and experience is key in growth. Then, so I in Magic was integration, which was on values. How do you integrate or align the values of the firm? Let's say the firm values innovation, values customer service and integrity, for example, with the values of the employees. Because if the firm values innovation, okay, it means it values adventure. It means it values moving risk. It means it values entering into new domains, which
work out of your comfort zone.
Exactly. So when the employee goes to an interview, and
you need to be clear about these values.
The proper recruiter says, listen, in this place, so you have to have values to align your value and to hire for value. Okay, so let's say that you value innovation, which means risk, which means we are not the civil sector here, guys, sorry. Which means today your role may be X, tomorrow your role may be XY. This is what innovation means when it trickles down on the individual employee level. Anyway, so the employee has to be prepared for adventure, for working.
If he's not ready to work out of the comfort zone, he or she cannot be part of the team.
Exactly. Well, everyone feels inspired if you tell them that we are a pirate ship here, we are adventurers. But when it comes to practically actually implementing that, yes, which means working outside your role, because innovation means creativity. Creativity means the boxes are not as rigid as in the civil service. So integration means the ability to align the values of the organization with the values of the employees, or the ability to communicate the values of the organization to the employee and to hire those who have similar values, and vice versa, and to attract those with similar values.
Yes, and let those that do not.
Imagine how miserable you will be. Sorry for interrupting you. If you, as an employee, you want stability, you are conservative. You say, give me a role, and I'm conscientious. I'm gonna be ticking all the boxes. I am perfect at executing my role. That person needs a specific type of job. Imagine placing that person to work in SpaceX,
yes,
which is like the pinnacle of innovation. Like,
or in
maybe some posts,
or in a new tweet at X.
Yes, so you have to match and this is even temperamental. It's not only CV; it's even temperamental. Some people are creative by nature,
or adventurous by nature.
Adventurous, so they don't like boxes. So those people. Maybe more, and you also had an interview with an HR person. This is where psychometric tests may come handy. Like, some people are by nature, they hate boxes, so they love a combination of roles. They love new things, and others they want to be. I want to do my job.
And what was the G? What was the G?
The G in growth.
Growth.
So growth, integration. So in growth, it can be you either grow in your role or you grow generally as a person.
And how did you transform to Marvel?
I'll tell you. And then the C, so integration.
C, yes,
yeah, magic. Yes. The integration. The C is connection. Connection, okay. It's camaraderie, it's team building, the sense of I belong here, I belong in this team, yes. I am valued, I have people to talk to, my employer talks to me, listens to me. Connection. I'm connected to a team. It's our nature.
It's very important.
It's very important. We are social beings.
It's very important.
We need recognition. We need love. We need connection. Now, when I went to publish Okay, so I had a huge ton of material when I was preparing for the speech. Tons of books. I was like, because it's a topic that is endless. I'm still writing on it. So you see what? So I have tons of materials, and I decided after I did the speech, I did some magic tricks too as well. It was quite, the speech is on my website, the whole speech. I also had some magic tricks to demonstrate. So then I said, hey, why don't I write a book about this whole research I did, which is also full of my experiences in law here. It's not just academic. So it's full of practical examples and tools, the first book. Then when I actually wrote the book, several months later, okay, I was ready to...
That's your first book, yes?
That's 2019, the first book. The first non-legal book, because I wrote many books in law, but about law. So this is the first...
You read many books or many articles?
Chapters.
Chapters in books?
I'm also a
Co-author.
co-author in
Okay.
books, yes.
Okay.
Correct, yes. So this is the first non-law book that I wrote. Yeah, so when I was in the process of editing the book, that's this book, which was called The Magic of Engagement, from the Abracadabra thing, I realized that there is a book called The Magic of Engagement on Amazon. And I thought that it's a joke, like somebody came to my lecture because it was about engagement, the magic of engagement. And then I checked, my wife told me, when I told her I was surprised, check the date, and that book was 3 years before that. It was like, it can't be. Such a coincidence was, such a synchronicity was. Anyway, and I was ready to abandon the whole thing because the whole book was written in this sequence, magic. So if I want to abolish that magic, every chapter is a letter of the acronym,
Okay.
meaning, autonomy.
Okay.
So the only thing I could do was to abolish that sequence. The other guy, it was the same words. Instead of I, for him, I was impact. For me, integration. Imagine the coincidence. Can you
Did
imagine?
you contact him?
No, but maybe I should.
Maybe you should.
Maybe he will.
In the same brain, the same mind, same ideas. It's amazing.
It's incredible. So only one letter was different. Anyway, then I thought of scrapping.
Maybe you should send him a copy
Maybe
of
I
your
should.
book. And say
But
thank
I have no doubt that it has no connection with him because I didn't read that book. Maybe out of spite. I'm joking. So I didn't read the book. Maybe I need to buy it as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then I was ready to abandon the project. I was like, okay, if I let go of the title and the structure of the book, what's left? Like a soup of information. And then I was talking to a friend at home. We baptized her son. My son was playing with her son with some hero figures. What's like Batman is DC, some Marvel heroes.
Marvel heroes.
And when we discussed, either she or me, we said, okay, why don't we try Marvel? Out of joke. And then I laughed, and then I said, wait a minute, Marvel. And then M is the same, right? Meaning A is the same, autonomy. Then instead of C, which is a connection at the end of magic, the
Relationship.
Relatedness. It's the same thing, the interactions with people. And then instead of integration of values, remember the I in, we have V, which is values, even more direct. So you have values. And then remember when I said about growth, the gene magic, that you need an interplay of learning and experience. Here we have experience and learning. So it was even better. I had the whole thing.
It was more direct.
And I had a eureka moment. Oh my God, I found the new name. And I reorganized the whole book and I changed a few chapters and I published it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have published it. I completely abandoned it.
Did you self-publish or is
Yeah, this is self-publishing. This is with a publisher in the US, the second one.
Nice.
This is self-published.
So now you have the new one.
Yeah, this is the Marvel of Happiness, though. That's a different story. It's not about business. It's a general public.
As a social media marketeer, I have to say that I like your profile picture on the second one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's more professionally produced, the second one.
Yeah.
This is self-published. But the second book is, so you see there is a journey, an exploration from the law and the local. You see, I like playing with words, more to the global and the more general audience. So this is more general audience than this. This is addressed mostly to managers and business people. This is personal development book.
Yes.
So this is the Marvel of Happiness for everyone who wants to
I do
study this area. It's about how to become better. It's a good life. It has some philosophy, some psychology. So that's, you see, if you see the size, it's more than twice, I think,
Yes.
than this.
Yes.
So it's full of bibliography, and there is a lot of study in this book, which was published. That's the second edition, actually, of the Marvel of Happiness book. And the second edition was published a month ago. It's going well.
Why someone?
Second edition. So it also has a marketing.
Yes.
Yes.
Why
but no-
someone should buy your book
Yeah.
instead of, I'm on Amazon now, and
Yes.
I click, I search for
Well, that's it.
motivation, happiness, or I'm trying to find. I'm throwing the ball for a
Very nice question.
for a nice. Why should someone buy this book?
A tongue-in-cheek answer is that you probably shouldn't if you're on Amazon. Why? Because if you see the reviews, okay, there are books with thousands of reviews. This has a few. When I say you shouldn't, I mean you wouldn't most likely, because most often we tend to choose books which give the impression that they are already widely accepted.
And read
It's a
it,
social
yes.
credibility.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why it was a joke. But why you should buy it? Well, I believe, in my sales pitch, especially to a publishing house that I'm trying to pitch it to Greece now, I firmly believe that this is one of the most, if not the most comprehensively researched books on the topic of the good life, combined with many personal anecdotes, and which offers a unique combination of profound ideas dating back from thousands of years of philosophy with contemporary happenings. Like, you can find conversations like this tied to a principle in philosophy back in ancient Greece. So there is this pendulum, once again the word pendulum, between profound idea and contemporary event or happening. Like, you can read about the Stoics and what they thought about oppression, for example, under a tyrannical regime. And then the next page, you read about a nighttime brawl outside a nightclub in my university. So you have this swing between profound idea and contemporary event.
Nice.
So, but I guess that's the best elevator pitch I can do for the book. But I'm standing behind it a lot because I put so much effort and love and, like, I might even say obsession behind weaving this into something that it's like a guide for people who want to examine what it means to live a good life, basically. Because happiness is a definitional thing as well. You may think happiness is running with smiles in the open fields. For somebody else, it may mean balance and
for someone else,
well-being.
It's a piece of food on the table.
Yes, so
it's not the same for everyone.
I believe it's a
journey. Happiness is a journey. Yes,
a journey. And I have a chapter there as well on how we tend to view life using metaphors, like life is a journey, or my conversation with my boss this morning was like a war. So I also touch about these things, like, and the acronym is the same, like, but it's
more
meaning
to personal life.
Meaning. How does the mind work? How does the mind generate meaning to help us make sense of the world? But then you also take into the business field, if you want, like, meaning is vision. Imagining something that, imagining a future that is better than the present. That's vision.
Yes.
Okay, and then employing the discipline necessary to bring that future into being. And I use the analogy of if I sidetrack and you want to bring the conversation back, feel free to do it, because I go on these tangents. Okay, so I use the analogy of Michelangelo's David.
Go.
Okay, so I went to Florence 2 weeks ago, and when we saw the replica of David. Michelangelo, the sculptor, created this huge statue of David. This David and Goliath, that story.
Yeah.
So he did that huge statue, which is more than 5 meters tall. It's impressive. And then I went and studied about David. And this sculpture, I mentioned in the book, by the way, this sculpture was created by Michelangelo using a used and discarded piece of marble. Okay, so somebody else used a huge piece of marble to create another statue. They discarded it, and Michelangelo took it, the used piece of marble, and created possibly the most admired statue in the world. Yes, which is David standing before the moment of the fight with Goliath in the myth. Okay, and that gave me a very nice insight that I use in the book, actually, which was published before the Florence trip. Anyway, where I talk about vision and discipline and how important it is.
I think it's that story that he said that I didn't sculpture David. I took out whatever was necessary.
Exactly. So
I took out what wasn't necessary.
He said, you are in the correct direction. He said that I saw the angel in the marble, and I carved until I set him free, which means that he had the vision of
that statue.
Yeah. So, and then I carved. So I removed whatever it wasn't David, until only David left. So, which is a great lesson for everyone, for who wants to become better in their lives. Why? So this interplay between vision and discipline and mastery. So you have a vision. You say, I want to become a better parent. I want to become a better employer. Or I want to take my company to make it one of the best in Cyprus. You have a vision, a David. You see, in a sense, either yourself, your ideal self, or your ideal company, or your
family or whatever.
Yes, and you have a rough idea. You cannot be accurate. You have a rough idea. I see it. And what's the block of marble? The block of marble is the horizon of opportunities and challenges and problems. You are unique set of opportunities, problems, and challenges, because you may have your problems, but you don't have all the problems in the world. You have your own problems, and have my own problems, and my own opportunities. Remember the discarded piece of marble. It was discarded, it was used, it wasn't perfect. So it already had some constraints. So some flaws.
For someone else was garbage.
Yes.
For someone else was useful. Because it was useless.
So if my ideal self in 5 years is to be, let's say, a very successful consultant in what I'm doing, and I start to think, but my circumstances are not perfect. I have these issues. I have this health issue. It's like if Michelangelo were to say, but the block of marble is not perfect. So, you see, that's why...
we need another one. So, the perfect one.
David, in my case, is a vision. Is the envisioned ideal future of your business, yourself, right?
And what you're saying is that you have to focus on your vision and let everything else drop.
Not very good point. So you have to... It helps to have an ideal of an envisioned, to have an ideal self in mind, or an ideal vision of where you want to go, or where you want your company to go. To have a rough idea, an image, like a style. It looks like that, okay? But the vision is not enough. You have to have the discipline to carve away, so get rid of bad habits, get rid of bad employees, get rid of bad procedures, if it's
bad services,
of
of
bad services.
bad customers.
Yes.
Of
Because,
bad,
why? Why? Because you have that destination, you have that vision, you know what it looks like. So if you know what it looks like, and you can develop a vision for the path that will take you there, so then you are in a better position to know what will not take you there as well.
Yes.
So you want to go in that direction. And so you combine a vision, because if you don't have vision, it goes back to something you hinted before. So let's say you have a block of marble, okay? You have a block of marble, but you don't have a vision. You're going to waste the marble. Chiseling away, okay, you have a tool, a chiseling tool. Chiseling,
you have the marble, you have the tool, you know how to sculpture,
but you don't have a vision.
but you don't have a vision.
You may stumble into something interesting, let's say, maybe by spending your time, maybe you create something that looks like something, but
A person.
you may waste. Yes, but most likely, so if you have the discipline and the mastery, you know how to sculpt, but you don't have the vision, most likely you are going to create something either chaotic or unspecific, or you're going to waste the block of marble. So your horizon of opportunities.
It's very simple to say. It's very simple to read and hear the vision.
Yes.
But I believe personally, because I am into business for 13 years now, and I was sculpturing a lot without a vision. To set a vision in place, you need a coach.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And this is what I do.
I know.
Yeah. So it's
You
difficult.
definitely need a coach, so you can set a vision that is the right vision for you. Because you can have you may believe that you have a vision, but it's so small that vision, because you cannot think a little bit bigger than yourself, that it kills you. Because you get there and you're like, okay, we got here, but again we're in the same place. Again, we didn't do anything. To jump on another project and another discussion and close, because it's been already 1 hour. Social media was the place that opened your new career.
I think it was the hand that helped me.
You sent that first
Absolutely.
banner, you told me, and
Absolutely,
like
yes.
boom. The second banner, boom.
You're correct.
And as far as I discussed before with you, I listened to your previous podcast as well, and at some point you came to the point that you said, "Oh my God, this is too much. I'm juggling too much things, and some things drop." And so I stopped creating content.
Yes. Correct. Yeah.
How do you believe that this thing will help you? We already discussed it. You download it.
Yes.
Oresti method.
First of all, I was pleasantly surprised that I saw that in your method you are using an acronym, because I also use acronyms.
Yes.
You see, so I was very, and it's also a common thing that shows that maybe we are more like-minded than different like-minded. I think it's a very helpful approach, first of all, because it offers a robust pathway to improve or to bridge the gap between your goal and the manifestation of your goal, because that's the key. Whether you call it vision, a goal is a micro vision, and a vision is a macro goal.
Yes.
Okay, so you want to get somewhere. Inevitably, in today's day and age, you cannot not leverage social media.
It is true.
It's a bit stupid, if you ask me.
Yes.
So we all suffer from different degrees of stupidity. For example, I'm not on TikTok. So I know perhaps I should be, but I have to jump on that wagon soon. Anyway, so you need social media.
The reason you're not on TikTok is because you don't know how.
That's most likely it. And it's also the hesitation to jump into a new
Yes.
thing that it
It's
has.
first is the technical. Second is the content, because you don't know how I'm gonna appear there,
Mhm.
and the technicalities of the content, because it's different. And third is the how I'm gonna reach the people that I want to reach. And the fourth is how I'm gonna evaluate, because maybe you
Yes.
don't know that. This is something, Philippos, that I see for the last 13 years. I've developed. This
It's
is
very
not
sophisticated.
an acronym. This is not just.
It's not just an acronym.
This is not just an
Yes.
acronym. This is not just a seminar. This was my calling. It's
I have
like,
no doubt.
I received this 2012. I was like, oh my God.
It's like me with the Marvel.
Yes, I was like, oh my God. It's like, and I was because through the years I got married, I have children, I got through different situations and hard situations that I couldn't keep up. Health situations that I couldn't keep up, like having two kids, and I was like, how am I gonna sustain this? How am I gonna sustain, like, having tens of customers, need to create content for them? I have employees. Every day they call. I need to post it. I need to post it. I need to post it. And Facebook is changing. There is a new Instagram, because there was an Instagram when I began. And now there is TikTok. And now LinkedIn is becoming more of a content platform. You need to jump on LinkedIn as well. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, okay. When I had this health issue, I had the time to think, because I couldn't work. So I thought, okay, I need to put it down again and bring back this thing that I was doing, the Oresti method, and develop it, like document it and put it in place. It's the only way that you can get away from the anxiety of what I'm gonna post today, and it's the only way to get away of the anxiety of there is a new feature now. Now there are reels. Now there is TikTok. Now there are shorts on YouTube, and you need to do this again. So the only way, I believe, for social media in a global scale is to have a strategic methodology approach. And this is, Jen, please allow me to close with this,
Of
because
course.
I'm very passionate. I just launched it, and as I said before, this is like the optimizing the design is like opening a restaurant and you don't have a kitchen.
Yes.
You decide to open a restaurant, but you didn't. You decide to open a coffee shop, but you didn't want to invest in a coffee machine. You brought the shaker from your home, and you're making frappe.
And then brick.
Then brick. This is exactly what it is. So is your fundamentals, is your base, is the tools that they give us, like social media they give us. We always blame Mark Zuckerberg and TikTok and Twitter, but they give us the tools, and it's there. And the most important tool that I told you before is the audiences, because you can create your audiences, and you don't need to be anxious that they didn't see you today or in a week because you are on vacations. Because you come back, you can create some content and it's showing to them.
Oh, it's a very sophisticated
It's,
method.
and as weird as may be here, maybe I want my competitors to have it. I want them to work proper. I want them to work correct, and I want them to give the value to the end user, so everybody use it correct and not burn out. I don't want people to burn out. So this is my mission in this life.
Well, it's a worthwhile mission, and it's a very, as I said before, it's a very robust method.
It's complete. It's complete and holistic. I told you we're gonna get around 45 minutes. We are 1 hour and 10 minutes now.
Wow.
It was a very fruitful conversation with a lot of value in it. I always close my podcast with a final message from the guest. So the stage is yours. Give us your last message and we close.
Well, thank you again for the invitation and the opportunity to share my thoughts. Well, we live in a world that is full of opportunities and challenges as well. I like to use the David analogy to pass messages nowadays. And I firmly believe that a journey of a fulfilling life, combining professional and personal well-being and peace and growth, necessarily has to pass through the narrow path of vision, virtue, and discipline. So if we want to lead a meaningful life and a prosperous and fulfilling life, we are advised to look for it on the intersection between these three basically ideals. So vision, to know where we want to go, to know what better means for us, and to have in mind where that is. Then the discipline to actually put ourselves in motion to go there, because otherwise it will remain in our minds as a figment of our imagination. So the discipline to chisel away whatever it is that holds us back from manifesting our David, our ideal selves, our ideal futures, and virtue, which is mostly the ethical orientation in life. Because there will always be temptations to cut corners and to get there faster. But that's how we ruin the pathway towards our ideal self.
Thank you very much, Felipe.
My pleasure.
It was a pleasure. And for those that are still with us, thank you very much for staying with us. Again, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Social Way. Hit the subscribe button. It helps. Socialcast by Social Way, and follow me on TikTok for shorts and tips on social media and other podcasts.